Well, hey, Andrew Easton here again for another Ideas in Support of Distance Learning video. And I'm joined by Christina and Kelly of the ESU 5 World Language Program. We're having the opportunity through this video series to record some best practices from folks who do this work on a daily basis when it comes to teaching and delivering instruction via distance learning. And so we're going to get the opportunity in this particular video to explore Zoom best practices. And really what we mean by Zoom is video conferencing. We will talk maybe to some features specific to the Zoom platform, but in most of video conferencing experiences, whether you're a Microsoft, Teams or Google Workspace or whatever it is that you're using as your modality there are common features. But I think it's worth saying from the start, in other videos in this series, we've contrasted asynchronous learning experiences from synchronous learning experiences, and that distance learning, there's a number of different types of connections. And so I'm going to get some terminology out there real quick and let Kelly and Christina press into that further and how they leverage Zoom to interact with their students in those different formats. But I have had the good fortune to go and sit in classrooms where there is both, it's a hybrid experience where there's students in the classroom, but there's also maybe a student or a set of students that are joining in that they get a chance to see into the classroom that is an in-person experience from a screen. And so maybe kind of interesting to think about having that sort of hybrid where you have learners in two spaces with the teacher there in front of some of them. Christina, Kelly, and others with the World Language Program at ESU 5 get a chance to deliver from a studio to a classroom of students that are seated together for that learning. But there's also dual sends and there's also Brady Bunch. And so I certainly want to give you all, as the experts, the space to talk to those further. But just know that there are a lot of different ways in which to leverage the teachers that we have, great teachers in this state, to make sure that students have the learning experiences available to them, like world languages in this case, and others through our NVIS and supported DL statewide. So that's a big introduction there. Kelly, Christina, welcome, and help us understand that whole single dual Brady Bunch a little bit more before we press on.
Christina, do you want to start with the single send?
Sure, of course. So, excuse me, there are two different types of classroom settings that I teach. And the first one is a single send, and it is my Zoom is being projected into just one classroom, someplace in the state of Nebraska. So my students come in, it is very similar to me standing in the front of the room as they're walking into the room. I can greet them, watch them come in, give little chit chats about the day, things of that nature. It's a very, very similar setting to what we do in the classroom every day. I teach Zoom with that class, and then I will log off of Zoom at the end of their bell period. And then I would go into another Zoom to a different classroom. So that is just a single send Zoom that we teach. We also have dual send Zooms that we do where some of our classes may overlap. So there will be two different classrooms in two different areas of Nebraska, and they will be on Zoom for potentially a certain amount of time together. Okay, so you can either choose in that situation to hold one of the rooms in the waiting room so that you are just still directing your one-on-one attention to one of the classrooms, or you can allow them to come into the Zoom and you can interact with both classrooms at the same time during their bell schedule.
Exactly. I typically don't use the waiting room when I do my dual sends. And sometimes you only have like 30 minutes of overlap for the shared instructional time. So I kind of compare it to the round, singing around, row, row, row your boat. You start here, then you get that done, then you start here, and then get them on the same. But it just depends on how much overlap you really have, how you would go about doing that, like Christina said. My favorite this year, in all honesty, is what I call the Brady Bunch. That's what our department calls it, because if you're old enough to remember that, the reference, then you have everybody connected in one classroom, but on their individual laptops to the teacher. And I am loving that this year because I see their name there, their little faces are there, and they're bigger than I would see them in the classroom. And that's my jam this year, and I love it. So I enjoy that, and I have learned their names much better doing the Brady Bunch than with a send to a classroom.
I love that, and I don't want to pretend to deliver too much in this space, but I know for professional learning, we have started to gravitate more towards Brady Bunch type experiences with our in-person for the benefit of those via hybrid. And yeah, I think that there's I gotta think like a mic quality to that too. Am I right? Whenever you go to that Brady Bunch style, can you hear the students a little bit better?
Yes, usually. I mean, I have to tell them sometimes turn up your microphone, but you know.
Okay, well, I could see that too then. And then with that, yeah, what are some other practices for leveraging, we'll say Zoom specifically, but when you think about the capabilities that are there, it could just be different than it might be in a classroom or some similar things that you can bring into a digital space. So what would you share for folks that are going to be facilitating learning this way?
Well, when it comes to when it comes to the Brady Bunch, I ask them, hey, show me an emoji, use your reaction button, show me how we're feeling today, just do a vibe check. And for ideas, we do the waterfall. It's kind of something almost new to me, but I just hadn't put any thought into it. And somebody said, hey, try this. I believe it was Dr. Ziegler as usual. Try this. So I would have them open up the chat and then ask them a question or some kind of prompt they would have to respond to, but they don't hit enter until I tell them waterfall, and everybody does it at once. And then I get this rolling thing of messages there to work my way through, and, hey, good answer, Susie. And, that kind of thing.
So a couple of characteristics or features that we have when they are on the Brady Bunch, where they are in control of their own computers, is that you can also put them into breakout sessions. So the program automatically will pair them up or put them into small groups. You can set the timer for how long they're in those breakout sessions. You as the teacher can pop in and out of them and help facilitate the learning or the discussion or whatever's going on. And then the Zoom will also pull them back into your main session when the timer has been reached as well. That's a really cool feature that you can do with these types of Zoom classes. The other one that I really like is just having that open chat, because sometimes we get lost in what we are doing and trying to push forward with our lessons. And it's nice to have that chat where students can also not be disruptive, but pop in a question into that chat. And so then you are notified that, oh gosh, they have a question, or, oh, let's readdress that real quick. Or somebody else could even answer that question in maybe a little bit better way for the students to understand too. So I love the chat feature of it as well too.
I agree. And we have it set up so that the Brady Bunch students are not allowed to text or message each other. They can only communicate with me. So when I see a question in there that one person has, I'm like, oh yeah, question just popped up for everybody. So that's very important, because I feel like the security of that, they can't have side conversations. It's distracting enough sitting beside somebody. But if you're also able to message everybody except the teacher and the teacher, then that isn't, it won't be a detriment to class if they're only talking to me.
Right.
Wow. And you think of the benefit with that, even compared to, let's say I'm a real-time in-person classroom teacher that doesn't access some sort of back channel, which you could do, right? Like in a live instruction in person, but maybe isn't typical, or you wouldn't even think to have that functionality as an avenue. And then so one, you're missing out on real-time feedback from your students, especially those that might be a little more introverted or quiet or hesitant to participate in that way. And it asks then the students to consider themselves as always having that access, right? Like they need to be on in a way that thinks, should I be reaching out? And if so, I know I can do so in real time. And so I love that both sides, I think, benefit from having that available. So with that being said, is there anything else with Zoom best practices that we'd recommend here as we kind of bring this particular video to a close?
I think I'd like to touch real quick on just the professionalism of it as well, too. We are all in all different professions. we're faced with Zoom meetings all the time now, or these types of scenarios with conference calls and things. And I think that it's a really, really good tool to give to our students right now as well, just how to be professional on them, and how to dress appropriately for the meeting, and how to be there and present, and participating in it when you have other distractions and things going on too. So I think it's a really good tool for these guys at these ages to learn how to do them in a very professional way going forward in life too.
That's true. We're modeling the behavior we want.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, and I had the good fortune to put together a series of DL videos from going out and observing in classrooms. And that's so funny. One of the students gave that feedback that said, I love that I'm getting stretched to learn in a different learning experience, modality, and as such feel like it's preparing me for the diversified ways in which I'll be expected to learn in my future, whether it's at the post secondary education or in the workplace. So absolutely love all of that. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise across all of these videos. As you access them, know that you'll be hearing from teachers who are actually doing the work that are out there sharing as a part of ESU 5's World Language Department DL courses on a daily basis. And so I know you all are busy, and I'm so grateful for your time and collaboration, and hope that people spend a little bit of time getting a chance to learn more about your program, and also all the distance learning courses and the supports available for those in our state through NVIS and our efforts with the ESU Coordinating Council. So Christina, Kelly, thank you so much for your time. And we'll encourage folks to check out other videos in this series to learn more.